Cancun is a gangster's paradise. This machine is a portal into their world. It will give you cash now and steal from you later.
It could easily make the fraudsters $50,000 to $60,000 a day.
The Organised Crime and Corruption Reporting Project has explored that world, uncovering theft, extortion, and bloodshed.
Acești indivizi sunt destul de periculoși.
We expose one of the largest cash card copying operations in the world, a multinational criminal syndicate targeting tourists and making hundreds of millions of dollars, said to be led by just one man.
Ăsta e capabil de orice rechin, trăim cu frică.
A quiet night in an upmarket neighborhood. 2106, a security camera on a luxury home captures a man park his car. Then, another vehicle tries to run him down. He escapes on foot. A passenger gets out and chases. Then gives up. He returns to the car and the two attackers drive off in pursuit. Shortly after, meters down the road and just out of view of the security camera, one of them is found dead. Police say he was shot in the back of the head by a nearby security guard. The dead man, Constantin Sorinel Marcu, a Romanian fugitive convicted for attempted murder. The story of how he died may be more complicated than it first appears, and why he died is a question that leads us into the world of cross-continent, violent, and lucrative organised crime. In 2015, and journalist Brian Krebs grabbed his camera and headed to Cancun.
The first thing I did was check into my hotel, and then I went down to the lobby to check the ATM there.
Krebs was following a story tip on his specialist subject, cash machine fraud.
I heard from an ATM installer in Mexico who said he'd been approached by some Eastern European guys who offered them up to $6,000 a month.
The money would be paid in return for access to the machines. Brian didn't have to go far to uncover the story or the dodgy devices.
I told him where I was staying. The source said, that'll be wonderful because I'm pretty sure there's a skimmer in that ATM in the lobby of that hotel.
A skimmer is a small device that criminals fit on an ATM card slot. It copies data from the small brown strip on the back of your card. A secret camera then films as you enter your PIN code. Then the criminals paste the data to a new card and use the PIN to withdraw or spend your money. But the Mexico ATMs had another innovation.
What I'm going to do here is turn on Bluetooth on my phone. You'll see Bluetooth signals pop up.
These guys had used Bluetooth devices that they implanted inside the ATMs, hooked up to the power of the ATM. When somebody comes up, puts their card in, enters their PIN, very soon after that, the fraud device would send that via Bluetooth wirelessly to the bad guy nearby. I think I found close to 24 compromised ATMs around those areas. Cozumel, Playa del Carmen, Tulum, very, very heavy tourist areas.
In fact, along Mexico's Riviera Maya, in Cancun, Sayulita, Puerto Vallarta, and Tijuana, there were at least 85 compromised machines, possibly up to 100, all able to steal tourists' card details and send them to thieves. Krebs published in September 2015, but who exactly was running the scheme was still not clear.
Very early on, this source had intimated that he believed organized crime was behind this.
OCCRP has spent months investigating, obtained around 15,000 pages of confidential law enforcement documents, spoken to dozens of sources in 4 continents, and uncovered an organized crime operation estimated to be making hundreds of millions across the globe.
A fairly high foot traffic ATM could easily make the fraudsters, $50,000 to $60,000 a day.
The alleged leader of the operation, Florian Tudor, 43, the Shark, a Romanian with permanent residence in Mexico. He says he's a legitimate businessman. Prosecutors say he's the head of a global organized crime gang. This rare footage shows him at a children's birthday party, looking every bit the family man. The person filming, Constantin Sorinel Marcu, who would be shot dead in June 2018. At the time, he was the Shark's bodyguard and right-hand man. According to prosecution documents, Marcu and the Shark read Brian Krebs' story and discussed it on a messaging app.
KrebsandSecurity.com, see this, see the video and everything. There are 2 episodes. They made a telenovela.
I see. It's bad.
They destroyed us. That's it. His mother. Close everything.
The Shark also wanted to find out who had talked.
Tell them that I'm going to kill them.
Okay, I can kill them anytime, any hour.
They are checking all the machines. Even at banks, they found over 20.
What? They found? Already?
Krebs had disrupted a violent and dangerous organized crime gang operating in numerous countries.
I can kill them anytime, any hour. Oh my gosh. Wow. Well, this is wonderful. So it sounds like it really had an impact. But did they close down? They didn't close down, did they?
In fact, the Shark's Mexico operation became more sophisticated. They won a contract with a major bank, once advertised by Ronaldinho, one of the world's most famous football players.
Siempre me gustó ganar. A mí me encanta que mi dinero gane. Por eso mi banco es Multiva. Multiva, tu vida tiene un banco.
In 2014, the Sharks team got hold of a Romanian passport and changed the photo and expiration date. The man in the picture was a fugitive from Romania, convicted for card skimming. They used this false identity to form and operate a business called Top Life Servicios. It became the gang's core company, installing ATMs ready compromised with secretly built-in skimmers. They advertised the latest security and safety features and fraudulent device inhibitors. Prosecutors say the machines were fraudulent devices.
The big difference is what I saw in Mexico required them to have somebody in on the scheme who had physical access to the inside of the ATMs.
Top Life had the permits, the Multiva contract, and the access. It gave the Sharks' crew huge opportunities for fraud. And on the internet, the number of complaints grew. Foreign tourists in Mexico fleeced by Top Life ATMs.
They targeted hotels that were very popular with foreign tourists because they didn't want to steal money from Mexicans. They wanted to steal money from Americans.
Meet Ion Damian Nadescu, the brains. He was a Top Life shareholder, brought in for his business and English skills. A marketing man, he co-founded a child autism charity. He also did business in America, but apparently had little respect for its people.
Ai trăit mult timp și în America. Care ai spune că sunt diferențele semnificative de parenting între noi și ei?
Este mai degrabă legată de sistemul de gândire. aparte spirituală, culturală, etc., acolo e zero.
Nadescu set up this charity in Bucharest for children with autism. His son has the condition, and Nadescu's foundation introduced a new form of therapy in Romania.
Vă jur că n-aș schimba nici măcar un centimetru din viața mea.
In Mexico, Nadescu was living a different life, working at this office. A witness statement shows he met a new technician at this nearby cafe. That man applied from Romania for a job in Germany, then was told he would be working in Mexico. The project was a multi-million-dollar criminal conspiracy.
ATM fraud is, by definition, an international crime. I've seen estimates from the U.S. Secret Service saying that the fraud losses from skimming are in the billions, easily.
At this apartment block, the new recruit was initiated into the gang with cocaine and alcohol. Then he was put to work. That was one half of the operation. The other involved cashing in on the copied cards around the globe.
No. Live, all right? What are you live? Yeah, live, yeah?
This is one team member broadcasting his adventures in the Caribbean island of Grenada. Meet Sorin Velcu, the muscle. Jailed in Romania and Indonesia. Arrested in America, Northern Ireland, Grenada. In 2005, he won refugee status in Canada. Romanian police documents show the gang kept a detailed ledger of the cards and PIN numbers. They would hand out details to teams including Velcu's. His group then transferred the data to other plastic cards, withdrew cash and spent money, making sure to log their activities.
They can very easily take that data, again, it's just ones and zeros, and with maybe a $200 device, encode that onto anything the size of a credit card with a magnetic stripe on the back. It could even be a blank piece of plastic.
The gang also used cloned cards at ATMs in tourist hotspots worldwide, such as India and Taiwan. Eventually, they got caught. Velcu and 3 others were put on trial and imprisoned. Velcu spent 7 months in jail. The gang had little tricks. They would use the cards in different cities all over the globe and wait 3 months, so banks would struggle to trace where the card had originally been cloned.
He's hitting me. He hit me. He hit me.
Witnesses estimate the shark made hundreds of millions of dollars. An informant says there were 100 compromised ATMs, each cloning 1,000 cards a month. $200 from each card on average, $20 million a month, $240 million a year. That's a 12% share of a black market estimated to be worth $2 billion, making the Riviera Maya Gang probably one of the biggest players in the world.
Se văd banii care îi are Florin. Deci banii, numai din bancomate, frauda se ridică la $1 miliard pe an.
That may be an overestimate, but Raducan Catalin has experience of the shark's operation and of the underworld in their hometown, Craiova, in Romania.
De la Florian m-am început toate declinurile mele financiare.
No concrete figures exist for what the shark may have stolen, but in Romania, concrete evidence is on display.
În 2017 am aflat că mi-a cumpărat niște imobile în care eu eram coproprietar la ele și atunci l-am contactat.
Asta e casa lui Florin.
The shark used his money to buy property, and he wanted Catalin's.
A început cu amenințări, mi-a trimis oameni și dom'le, lasă-l pe Nașu. Aici el nu suporta să-i spună Florian decât Nașu.
Catalin didn't budge, and soon talk became action.
Am fost prins pe stradă, invitat la un bar. Când am ieșit de acolo, am fost bătut.
He says there were 3 men, 1 to punch and kick, 2 to film.
El avea un obicei, tot pe care punea să-i bată, n-am fost singurul, vrea să vadă probele.
Soon, much of this street was under the Sharks' control. Catalin joined the fight to jail his enemy. He became state witness in a case against the gang. The Shark had sunk some of his money into property, but he may have also sunk it underground. Investigators believe Velku's mother had some of the gang's money buried in her backyard, which froze solid in the winter. In 2018, investigators intercepted a phone call from Velku to his mum.
Can you get me 20,000?
I really can't. I can't. Somebody has to dig it out because it has frozen.
What if I dig? Can I get it tomorrow?
Well, maybe tomorrow it will get better.
The Sharks' alleged money laundering operation was simple. Profits from the ATM scam sent to Romania smuggled in cash or by money transfer, spent on luxury real estate developments, which are then sold, providing the Shark with money that appears to be legitimate earnings.
Caracatița e întinsă. Dacă e să iei așa cum de unde au făcut banii, nu i-au făcut decât de pe clonarea cardurilor. Se știe în oraș.
They made sure money transfers were low enough to avoid triggering money laundering alerts, and used proxy people to send and receive the money, keeping the Shark's identity protected. Prosecutors say they also smuggled in cash hidden in items like a picture frame. Then they invested in real estate in Craiova and around the world. They built this luxury apartment building, owned and managed by one of the Shark's 2 partners. A Porsche is parked outside. The 2 buildings next door have links to the Shark, as well as this office block. In Mexico, the Sharks gang owns 1 luxury condo and 4 other properties worth around $2.2 million. Most are in this newly built Cancun neighborhood.
Dacă luăm așa casele și banii, nu mai luăm numai casele lui, numai investițiile lui, să vedeți că sunt de sute de milioane.
Craiova's Ungureni cemetery is nearly full. Still, they found space for Constantin Sorinel Marcu in the city of his birth. Convicted of attempted murder, he had left his family, including a young daughter, and fled to Mexico, where he died in a dark street in Cancun.
Tudor Florian l-a chemat acolo. Aflase că este judecat pentru tentativă de omor și a oferit calea asta.
The 2 were friends, and as they partied together, they grew close.
S-au înțeles ca el să fie și nașul fetiței.
I-a promis că îi face o viață frumoasă. Pe urmă lucrurile s-au stricat.
Marcu and the Shark began a feud. Prosecutors say it was motivated by money and envy. Soon, Marcu began to sabotage the Shark's operation.
Scria pe bilețele în spaniolă,
Îi
nu
avertiza
băgați,
pe turiștii de acolo că să
nu băgați cardul că rămâneți
mai
fără
activeze.
bani. Și de aici au pornit.
FBI-ul știa, aflase de la acest jurnalist american, fiul meu îi contactase încă din 2015, el îi relata ce se întâmplă acolo și ce vor să facă. Iar
Asta
el,
l-a înfuriat pe
Asta l-a
regim,
înfuriat,
când a
asta a
auzit
fost momentul culminant.
The Shark took action in Mexico and Romania.
Îl amenința la telefon, spunea, Sorine, am să te omor.
In Craiova, Marcu's parents received a visit from the Shark's men.
Au început să mă înjure, au început să-mi vorbească urât, să-l conving pe fiul meu să plece de acolo și că o să-ți-l trimitem noi în 4 scânduri.
și vă omorâm și pe voi.
One of the two men was Sorin Velcu. His was not an idle threat. In Cancun, Marcu headed to DHL to collect a parcel. As he walked down the corridor, 3 men attacked.
I-a pus unul din ei o piedică și a scos cuțitul și i-a dat aici, în partea stângă, deci la plămân, undeva pe aici, în zona splinei, că de asta i-a și fost extirpată, și sus, la oboplat, iarăși l-a înjunghiat.
It was a murder attempt. Marcu went into hiding to recover.
Asta a fost. Iar după aceea nu s-au lăsat, a vrut să-l termine definitiv și l-a terminat. Acest rechinul care nimeni nu are act de cu jocul lui și e bine mersi în libertate. Ce să vă mai spun? Durerea e mare, e nelimitată și nimeni și nimic în lumea asta nu ni-l poate aduce înapoi.
This large building on the left is the Sharks' Cancun home. Meters away is where Marcu was found dead. Police concluded he had been shot by the Sharks' security guard. A judge ruled it was not murder. Key evidence was the CCTV footage, which had been shot from the Sharks' house. It was said to show Marcu attempting to kidnap one of the Sharks' men, so a judge ruled that the killing was not a homicide. That judge was later suspended over allegations of wrongdoing in an unrelated case.
Cunoaștem care este potența lui din punct de vedere financiar, cunoaștem cine este, influența lui, puterea lui.
Marcu's parents are not convinced by the official version of events, and they think the picture of their dead son does not make sense.
Era cu șlapii scoși din picioare, ridicată bluza după el și nici picătură de sânge.
Noi credem că asta a fost o regie a lor și suntem convinși și noi credem că el a fost omorât în altă parte și a fost pus acolo și asta a fost un scenariu.
Deci eu cred că a fost luat din caz și omorât pe domeniile lui.
The other man in the car that night told police a different story, that the guard and one of the Sharks' men had both shot Marcu outside a restaurant.
Copilul nostru nu-l mai aduce nimeni acasă, dar măcar pentru liniștea lui sufletească de acolo de unde e, să vadă că s-a făcut dreptate.
Justice will be hard to find. Mexico, where their son was killed, is a country consumed by organised crime. The year Marcu died, police opened more than 33,000 murder investigations. They're fighting a desperate battle against drug cartels and corruption.
Dreptatea nu există. Adevărul absolut nu știe nimeni.
Marcu's parents have lost a son. Thousands of tourists have lost their money. The Shark has not yet lost his freedom. Police raided his home in May 2019 and seized millions in cash and belongings. The Shark says they stole it, and now he has stepped out of the shadows in order to fight back. He called an impromptu press conference in March.
Durante mi detenzione fui torturato fisico e psicologicamente, tanto a mí como a mi esposa Jocelyn Belmonte Navarra y a mi hijo Eric Tudor, de nacionalidad norteamericana. Nos roba nuestras pertenencias, alrededor de 67 millones de pesos.
In In spite of the footage in the nightclub, the shark says he and Marku were not friends. He met him and his brother only 3 times, and they begged him for a job and a loan.
Me refieren que están siendo protegidos proponiéndome clonar mis cajeros con una tecnología que solo ellos tenían, a lo cual me negué a la petición y le expliqué que no quería problemas.
The night of the killing, the shark says Marku was trying to murder his cousin.
Intervino los elementos de seguridad privada para proteger su integridad física, abriendo fuego a sus agresores. Derivado de tales hechos es que denunciamos la tentativa de homicidio cometido en agravio.
Speaking to OCCRP via video call, the state police chief described the shark's allegations as absurd and infantile. He says the shark is powerful, and some officials treat him as if he was Mexico's richest man.
La fama pública internacional de estos grupo de pseudoempresarios es, pues creo que de lo peor que hemos visto. Y aquí en el país hay grupos políticos y cierto sector institucional que los trata como si fueran Carlos Slim o compañía, ¿no? Es dramático. Pero también por estrategia estamos dejando correr el tema y vamos a ver hasta dónde llega.
The police chief says they are ready to cooperate with anyone investigating the shark and his gang.
Tenemos mucha información de los vínculos o los lazos de funcionarios de ciertos niveles y instituciones que han sido funcionales para ellos, inclusive algunos vínculos políticos con algunos actores políticos. Nosotros estamos reaccionando y vamos a colaborar con quien nos pida información.
The shark is charged in Romania with setting up an organized crime group, extortion, and conspiracy to murder. Sorin Velcu is charged with belonging to an organized crime group, extortion, and possession of a firearm. Ion Damian Nadescu, the brains, faces no charges. Marku is deceased. 6 men, including Velcu, face charges related to his attempted murder at DHL in Cancun.
If a member of an organized crime group gets murdered by somebody else in the organized crime group, that usually suggests that that person somehow became a threat. That person was a serious liability and probably knew too much.
The shark's operation was global. Romanian criminals operating on Mexican territory, accused of stealing Americans' money. They appear to be major players in a booming black market. To stop the skimming requires international cooperation. Mexico needs to catch Florian Tudor. Romania needs him sent home and put on trial. If that doesn't happen, the shark will wriggle out of the net and swim to safety.